The big breaking story this evening is that General VK Singh has just done a massive press conference where he says that reports of him having offered to quit are not true. And for this, I want to go across to my colleague Smita Sharma. She's joining us on the newsroom this evening. Smita, does this press conference come on the back of pressure from the government? Because right before this press conference, there was a meeting where the Prime Minister was there, Amit Shah was there, the Finance Minister was there, and the General seemed to be reading from a prepared script. What happened behind the scenes building up to this press conference?
Well, Rahul, clearly, there's more than meets the eye out here. And while General VK Singh might now come out and hit out at media, blaming us really for creating all the controversies, there is definitely not the case. It almost looks like the PM has read out the riot act to him. There is much damage control needs to be done because of just a simple thing. You know protocol issues. When national days are commemorated, embassies, high commissions sent out invitations to governments, and the government of India through the Ministry of External Affairs conveys it to those embassies much in advance who their representative would be.
No, but General VK Singh in this press conference said that he was told just the morning of the Pakistan National Day that he had to go. You were speaking to him yesterday, you were covering this. Was there confusion, or was it always known that he's the one who's going to go?
It was known very much, Rahul, and this was the reason why, in fact, some of the Hurriyat leaders, in fact, were also countering the media's questions a day before the Pakistan National Day, saying that...
The Hurriyat knew it a day in advance.
Hurriyat knew it a day in advance. They were asking us questions. Why are you making it such an issue when the General is also going to be present there? The Pakistan High Commission officials knew that had been conveyed to them that General VK Singh was going to be the guest. So why did he allow speculation by telling scribes who were calling him up even an hour before the official celebration started at 7 o'clock, saying that it has not been conveyed to me, I do not know if I will go or not.
Joining us also at this time is my colleague Gaurav Sawant. He's joining us from right outside General VK Singh's residence. That's where this press conference happened. Gaurav, you've been speaking to his aides, his associates. Sources in the BJP say he offered to step down. He says he didn't offer to step down. If General VK Singh is to be believed, this is a media-created controversy, and that his tweets on disgust on duty had nothing at all to do with what happened at the Pakistan National Day. Is that at all true, or is this once again psychological operations from the former chief?
Well, psyops or not, there are two aspects here, Rahul. One, General VK Singh insists this was his duty to attend this function as a Minister of State in the External Affairs. By protocol, it is the Minister of State External Affairs, whoever the person may be, who attends national days, and in this case, it was to be him. This only got hyped up because he's also a former Chief of the Army Staff. General VK Singh insists that he was, as he puts it, disgusted by media hyperventilating about a former chief being there, and that this would bring down the morale of the army. The General insists that he knows the morale of the army. The morale of the army does not come down by such events. He's also saying it was the media that targeted the Prime Minister, and that is why he had to tweet his disgust at the Prime Minister. And as he puts it in that press release that was subsequently issued, that my Prime Minister was targeted by a section of the media that was hyperventilating. And this is why he was disgusted.
No, but Gaurav, just one second, Gaurav. Now, when he puts out these rather dramatic duty and disgust tweets just after having been on the stage with the Pakistan High Commissioner, surely he's not expecting that people will not add the two together. Who is being naive here? Is he being very naive by suggesting that it had nothing to do with it and that the media hyperventilated? Or as Smita says, there's a lot more than meets the eye. The General has been given a dressing down. The government is unhappy with him for having put out those ill-timed tweets. Where does the reality lie tonight, Gaurav?
Well, there is a section within the BJP that insists the General was given a dressing down by the government. The General denies it. And whatever happened between, within closed doors, it's between whoever allegedly gave him that dressing down and the General. For the record, both are denying this, but clearly duty and disgust ill-timed at that point of time, clearly, and does embarrass the government, because the Prime Minister just a short while before that, had tweeted about greeting Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, hoping to move forward in a terror-free environment. And in this, if you look at the general's press statement, he says he's privy to a lot more that the common man may perhaps not be, being a former chief of the army staff. So his duty to attend that as MOS perhaps is discussed, because is Pakistan being level, or Pakistan continues to foment trouble in India?
Okay.
Barely 3 days ago, you've had an incident in Samba in Kathua that would weigh heavily on the mind of a former chief. So, perhaps in the next several days, this situation will be very clear. But yes, this does come as a huge embarrassment for the government.
Stay with me. If you missed that dramatic press conference, let's listen to some key excerpts of what the Minister of State for External Affairs said.
Attending the Pakistan Day celebrations at the Pakistan High Commission in Delhi is one such protocol that every Minister of State of External Affairs of the Union Government of India has followed in the past and will continue to do so in future. My tweet on definition of duty was clearly to tell all as to what it implies to a soldier and to a disciplined party. I stand in unison with my party in working for a better India. As I always say, nation comes first, always and every time.
There's something about Twitter and the Minister of State for External Affairs. It's not the first time an MOS for External Affairs got into trouble because of Twitter.
Absolutely, Rahul. If you remember that cattle class comment of Shashi Tharoor, who was then the Minister of State for External Affairs, that caused quite a furor. Though I think here the matter, in fact, is much more serious. And we are talking about General VK Singh, somebody who has quoted a lot of controversies in the past too, even while he was the army chief, taking the then government to the court, of course, that battle about his date of birth issue. And clearly, the PMO, our sources are telling us that there was somewhere an intervention, because yesterday morning when...
But that's why this late evening press conference, General's fooling no one when he says that no one in the government has spoken to him, that he hasn't been given a dressing down. If there hadn't been an intervention, there wouldn't have been
And
this
he's
late
not
evening
known to
press
mince his
conference.
words. If you look at his tweets also, there was some time before he tweeted out then saying about that section of media is causing a mistake. So it almost seemed like a hindsight of a tweet, Rahul.
No, absolutely. He named me in the press conference and said that we've been distorting the story. My post, if you go down the timeline, actually just asks him if this is linked to his appearance at the Pakistan National Day, or is it completely divorced from it. Well, the General has said what he had to. Lot more happening behind the scenes that Smita and Gaurav have been putting into context for us. Thank you very much, the both of you, for joining us.